Padre Pio has warned us. Urgently remove these 3 items from your home. An urgent message for you. Have you ever felt a strange heaviness in your home, like something is off, but you can't explain it? That's not just your imagination. Today I'm sharing a powerful warning from Padre Pio about 3 common objects you may have in your home right now. They seem harmless, but they could be opening the door to negative energy that blocks your peace, your prayers, and your blessings. Before I reveal them, look around. That little decoration, that gift on the shelf. What if it's the reason your home feels heavy? This isn't about superstition, it's about spiritual wisdom. Wisdom we forget in today's busy life. Even one small item can affect your whole atmosphere. But don't worry, the solution is simple and I'll guide you through it. If you want to protect your home, type in the comments, "I want to protect my home." Let's uncover these 3 items and learn how to remove them the right way. Number 1. The 3 objects to remove immediately. 1. Broken or cracked mirrors. One of the most powerful yet often overlooked spiritual teachings of Padre Pio centers on the energy within our homes, the sacred space where our lives unfold and where the spiritual realm often whispers to us through signs from God. Padre Pio, known not only for his miracles and stigmata, but also for his deep discernment of spiritual disturbances, urgently warned us to remove broken or cracked mirrors from our home. At first glance, this may seem like an old superstition, a simple cautionary tale passed down from older generations. But when we look deeper through the lens of faith and spiritual wisdom, we uncover a profound truth. Padre Pio explained that a mirror is not just a household object. It symbolizes reflection, clarity, and spiritual transparency. When a mirror is cracked, even slightly, it becomes a channel for confusion, disharmony, and spiritual blockage. Just as a shattered mirror gives us a distorted image of ourselves, it also warps the flow of blessings within our home. Have you ever passed by a cracked mirror and felt a sudden chill or heaviness? That's not your imagination. It may very well be your spirit responding to an imbalance, a sign from God nudging you to restore peace. According to the teachings of Padre Pio, light is not only physical, it is spiritual, and a mirror, by nature, reflects light. So when it is damaged, the flow of spiritual light, your prayers, your intentions, your blessings, becomes fragmented, unable to circulate fully and freely. This can unknowingly invite in feelings of depression, stress, arguments, or unexplained tension in your home. Padre Pio emphasized that even the smallest crack matters. It's not about size, but about spiritual openness. Just like a pinhole can sink an entire ship, a hairline fracture in a mirror can silently allow negative spiritual influences to enter. In modern life, where stress already presses heavily on our hearts, our homes should be places of refuge, not reservoirs of tension. That's why following this advice from Padre Pio is not just about superstition, it's about spiritual hygiene. It's about reclaiming the energy in your space so that the blessings of God can flow without interruption. So take time today to check every mirror in your home. Look closely. Even the small ones in drawers or forgotten corners matter. And when you find a cracked one, don't simply throw it away. Wrap it in white cloth or paper, say a prayer of protection with a sincere heart, and remove it with care, acknowledging its energy as Padre Pio advised. Afterward, cleanse the space, sprinkle holy water if you can, or say a heartfelt prayer, asking God to purify and restore peace to that area. Psalm 20 verse 1 reminds us, May the Lord answer you in the day of trouble. May the name of the God of Jacob protect you. This verse speaks directly to the idea that when we call out for protection, when we take action to restore sacred order, heaven responds. And if you choose to replace the mirror, do so with care. Inspect it, bless it, and be intentional about what you allow into your sacred space. These teachings are not just about objects. They are about awareness, spiritual responsibility, and protecting what we hold most dear: our peace, our family, our faith. As Padre Pio once said, pray, hope, and don't worry. Worry is useless. God is merciful and will hear your prayer. In that same spirit, let us be mindful not only of how we speak or pray, but also of what we keep around us. Because everything carries energy, and everything in your home either builds or breaks the harmony you're trying to protect. In our search for how to attract money, peace, and well-being, we must start with order. A clean space attracts clean blessings, and sometimes removing a cracked mirror is the first sign to heaven that we are ready to receive what's meant for us. As you reflect on this message, remember Proverbs 3, verse 6. In all your ways acknowledge Him, and He will make your paths straight. That path starts in your home, in your heart, and in your willingness to listen to the quiet yet powerful advice from Padre Pio. 2. Owl images or figures. Now listen closely, because this message might be just what you need to hear today. Padre Pio, a man of deep faith and divine insight, gave us many warnings meant to protect not only our souls, but also the peace of our homes. One of these warnings, though simple on the surface, carries profound spiritual weight. He urged us to remove owl images or figures from our homes immediately and without hesitation. Yes, even something as seemingly harmless as a decorative owl on a pillow, a painting on the wall, or a little charm on a necklace could be affecting your life more than you realize. Padre Pio explained that these objects, regardless of how beautiful or innocent they might seem, can become entry points for dark and unsettling. These symbols, though often celebrated for wisdom in popular culture, are linked in certain spiritual traditions to vigilance in the night, secrecy, and energies that are not of God. It's not about hating the animal. God made all creatures with purpose, but it's about understanding what these images can carry symbolically into your space. Let me ask you something. Have you ever felt unexplained anxiety at home? A sudden unease, sleepless nights, or just an overwhelming sense that something isn't right, even when everything seems fine? These could be signs that the spiritual atmosphere around you is being weighed down by symbols that disrupt harmony. Take a moment today to truly examine your space. Open every drawer, check every shelf, even that old jewelry box you haven't touched in years. You might be surprised how many owl symbols you've unknowingly allowed into your sanctuary. And when you find them, don't throw them out in anger. Padre Pio taught us to act with respect and understanding. If the item has sentimental value or was a gift, you can either return it or explain your reasons for letting it go. You could donate or sell it as long as your intention is pure and you've released its energy from your home. And in its place, choose symbols that fill your heart with peace. Images of the cross, a blooming flower, a calm landscape, or even verses of scripture that remind you of God's presence. These small changes can shift the entire atmosphere of your home. Now comes a holy part of this journey, the cleansing. Open your windows wide and let God's sunlight flood every corner. Light a white candle, simple and pure, and say a prayer, not just with your lips, but from your heart. Ask for protection, for light to fill your space, and for any heaviness to be lifted. As you say it, feel the peace of God begin to settle in the room. Many people who followed this path testified to a newfound calm, better sleep, more peace in relationships, and even spiritual clarity. Let me share a quick story to anchor this message. There was once a woman who had suffered from chronic restlessness for years. Doctors found nothing wrong, and her prayers seemed unanswered. One day, after reading about Padre Pio's guidance, she decided to clear her home and discovered 3 owl statues, gifts from her travels. She let them go with prayer and humility, and that very night she slept peacefully for the first time in months. Her family even noticed the shift. Sometimes the spiritual world speaks in whispers, and all we need is the courage to listen and act. So I ask you now, what might be hiding in your home that could be affecting your peace? Are there things you've held on to without ever questioning their spiritual weight? It's time to renew your home with intention and faith. God doesn't just want to dwell in churches. He wants to dwell in your home, in your space, in your daily life. And sometimes it begins with something as simple as removing the wrong symbol and inviting in the right spirit. Here are the lessons to carry with you today. First, not everything decorative is spiritually harmless. Discernment is key. Second, trust the wisdom of the saints like Padre Pio, who understood the deeper layers of spiritual life. And most importantly, remember that your home is sacred ground. Protect it, bless it, and fill it with things that glorify God. As Romans 12 verse 9 says, "Hate what is evil, cling to what is good. Let that be your guide, not just in your heart, but also in the space around you." 3. Decorative masks, especially face masks. Padre Pio, known for his deep spiritual insights and powerful prayers, gave this particular warning out of love, urging us to pay attention to the spiritual atmosphere of our homes. The third item he called us to urgently remove is decorative masks. Yes, those beautifully crafted face masks we often hang on our walls or display on shelves, sometimes gifted by friends or collected during travels. But what if I told you these objects, no matter how artistic or sentimental they seem, could be spiritual stumbling blocks? Masks, particularly those that represent faces, carry more than just aesthetic value. They carry energy. Think about it. These objects often originate from cultures or practices deeply rooted in rituals, spiritual ceremonies, or symbolic meanings that may not align with our faith. Whether it's an African tribal mask, a Venetian carnival piece, or an exotic Eastern design, Padre Pio emphasized that such items can act like portals, openings that allow unwanted spiritual influences into our homes. He wasn't speaking in metaphors, he meant it literally. Have you ever walked into a room and felt a sudden heaviness, or noticed patterns of tension, arguments, or emotional unrest in your household without clear reasons? These can be subtle signs from God trying to get your attention, and perhaps these masks are playing a hidden role in creating that unrest. Even their placement matters. If they're hung in central places like the living room or near the entrance, they might be amplifying their negative influence, like silent observers draining peace and sowing division. Now, this isn't about fear, it's about awareness and spiritual cleanliness. The process of removal should be done with reverence and faith. Start early in the morning as the sun rises, a time symbolic of new beginnings. Take each mask down gently and, if possible, wrap it in a clean white cloth before discarding or giving it away responsibly. Then, cleanse the space physically and spiritually. Mix coarse salt with water, and as you clean, pray over your home. Speak powerful prayers out loud, asking for God's peace and protection to fill the space. As you do this, you're not just removing a decoration, you're making room for divine light to enter. And here's something beautiful. Once these masks are gone, replace them with things that lift your spirit. Maybe a painting of a sunrise, a scripture verse framed on your wall, or simply a clear, open space that invites calm and clarity. Because sometimes the most spiritual act we can do is to remove the noise and allow God's presence to settle. So let me ask you, what's really decorating your home? Objects of beauty or objects of spiritual confusion? Could it be that one small thing on your wall is holding back the blessing you've been praying for? When you align your environment with God's peace, you'll begin to see subtle but powerful transformations. Clearer communication with loved ones, more restful sleep, a sense of harmony you forgot was possible. And that, my friend, is no coincidence. That's grace entering where confusion once lived. If you've watched this far, it means you're truly seeking spiritual protection and clarity in these uncertain times. Comment below with "safe and blessed" to show your commitment to cleansing your home and heart from harmful influences. Don't click away. There's still a powerful revelation waiting for you. Stay until the end to fully understand Padre Pio's urgent warning and what it means for your life today. Number 2. Additional spiritual protection practices. Now that you've removed these 3 items from your home, let me share some powerful spiritual guidance inspired by Padre Pio to help keep your home protected. These are simple yet meaningful practices, and when done with faith and consistency, they can make a profound difference. 1. Use coarse salt. One of the most quietly powerful spiritual practices that Padre Pio has indirectly pointed us toward through his deep devotion and protection prayers is the use of coarse salt, a simple, natural element that holds ancient and spiritual significance. Coarse salt is not just a kitchen item. It's a symbol of purification, protection, and spiritual clarity, used for centuries in various cultures to ward off negativity and cleanse the environment. According to the teachings of Padre Pio, protecting your soul and your surroundings from spiritual attacks should never be taken lightly, especially in a world where many invisible forces can influence our peace of mind and emotional health. Placing a small dish of coarse salt in each corner of your home, especially in spaces where you rest and reconnect, such as bedrooms and living rooms, can serve as a spiritual shield. This is not superstition, but a quiet reminder of God's natural creations working in harmony with us. Salt has a way of drawing out what does not belong, absorbing not just moisture, but tension, emotional residue, and spiritual heaviness. However, its power is not infinite. That's why you must replace the salt every 7 days without fail. And when you dispose of it, do so with reverence. Pour it into running water like a stream or down the drain with cold water flowing, symbolically letting go of what no longer serves you. This weekly habit can be a gentle ritual of renewal and protection, anchoring you back to faith. As you engage in this practice, stay open to signs from God. Sometimes it's the smallest shifts in our spirit or atmosphere that speak the loudest. When our homes are spiritually clean, our thoughts become clearer and our hearts more aligned with divine will. This clarity can even impact the material realm, helping us focus better, make wiser choices and attract blessings, including learning how to attract money with discernment and purpose. Never underestimate the depth of spiritual tools, even simple ones like salt. As we take advice from Padre Pio and follow the spiritual wisdom handed down through time, we strengthen our inner peace and protect our homes from unseen harms. This isn't about fear, it's about empowerment, about walking boldly in faith while honoring the sacred space God has given you. So begin today and trust that even in the smallest rituals, God's protection and Padre Pio's guidance are working through you. 2. Create a prayer space. Let me share something deeply important with you, something simple yet powerful, creating a prayer space in your home. Padre Pio, a saint known for his deep spiritual insight and divine connection, often reminded us that protecting our soul and nurturing our faith starts with daily, intentional practices. One of these practices is to set aside a sacred corner just for prayer and reflection. And no, it doesn't have to be an entire room or something elaborate. A quiet little spot in your bedroom, a peaceful corner in your living room. What matters is the heart you bring into it. This space becomes your meeting place with God, where heaven and earth touch in the silence of prayer. Remove distractions like phones and screens, and keep the area clean and tidy. Why? Because order and cleanliness invite clarity, peace, and spiritual strength. Have you ever noticed how hard it is to pray in a messy, noisy place? That's not just a coincidence. Our surroundings deeply affect our inner world. When your environment is calm, your spirit can more easily rise above the noise of everyday life. So think about this. What would your prayer space look like? What would make it feel sacred to you? Maybe a small crucifix, a candle, a Bible, or even a simple image of the Virgin Mary or your favorite saint. Padre Pio once said, "Prayer is the best weapon we have. It is the key to God's heart." So why not create a place where you can use that weapon daily? This isn't just about having a nice spot. It's about carving out a consistent place where your soul can breathe, where God knows you'll meet Him every day. When you treat that space as holy, it begins to feel holy. And the more you return to it, the more powerful and protective your prayers become. Let's not underestimate the power of environment. It can either distract us or draw us closer to the divine. So here's a gentle challenge. Find your corner, make it yours, and begin to build a habit of prayer that strengthens your spirit. The lesson here is simple but life-changing. When you prepare a place for God in your home, you're also preparing a place for Him in your heart. Let your home become a sanctuary of peace, and watch how that peace begins to transform everything else around you. 3. Declutter regularly. Imagine this, my friend. You're walking into a room that's clean, simple, and filled only with the things you truly love or need. How does that feel? Peaceful, right? Padre Pio, one of the most beloved saints of our time, gave us very heartfelt and practical spiritual advice that still speaks to us deeply today. And one of the things he urged us to do was to declutter regularly. Now, you might be thinking, what does cleaning out a closet have to do with my spiritual life? But here's the beautiful part. Our outer space is often a mirror of our inner world. When we hold on to piles of unnecessary things, clothes we never wear, drawers packed with stuff we don't even remember owning, we might also be unknowingly holding on to emotional or spiritual clutter, past wounds, regrets, fears, or even a sense of lack. Padre Pio's wisdom teaches us that letting go of excess isn't just about tidying up. It's a spiritual practice that opens our hearts and homes to the grace of God. Think about it. When was the last time you took a moment to look around your home and ask yourself, does this space bring me peace? Or am I creating room for God's presence in my daily life? By donating what we no longer use, organizing what we choose to keep, and blessing our homes with order, we are also inviting in signs from God, little whispers of peace, clarity, and presence that often come when there's space for them to land. This is not just about physical things, it's about spiritual alignment. Powerful prayers are more easily embraced in a clean and quiet environment, where distractions don't drown out your connection with the divine. And maybe, just maybe, in the act of decluttering, you'll find something unexpected. A forgotten letter, a photo, a symbol that reminds you of who you are, who you love, and who loves you. Could that be one of those subtle signs from God Padre Pio often spoke about? So, what's one thing you could let go of today that might make room for something greater tomorrow? When we act with intention, guided by timeless advice from Padre Pio, we create not just a tidy space, but a sacred one, where the soul can breathe, rest, and pray deeply. 4. Keep the entrance clear. The entrance to your home is not just a physical space, it is a symbolic passage between the outside world and your sacred inner sanctuary. Padre Pio, known for his deep spiritual discernment, often emphasized the importance of order and purity in the spaces we inhabit. For a clean and welcoming home invites not only guests, but also grace. Keeping the front door and main windows clean is more than just good hygiene. It is a spiritual act of intention, signaling to both the visible and invisible realms that your home is a place of light, peace, and divine protection. When we declutter the entrance and remove shoes, umbrellas, or any other obstructing objects, we're not just making space physically, we are opening a path for blessings to flow in freely. Adding a vase of fresh flowers or a living plant near the door may seem like a small gesture, but in the spiritual realm, it echoes the beauty and life that God wants to see blooming within us. Just as Jesus taught in John 14, verse 23, "If anyone loves me, he will keep my word, and my Father will love him, and we will come to him and make our home with him." So when we care for our homes with reverence, we're preparing them to be places where God's presence feels welcomed and at peace. In modern life, where chaos and noise follow us even to our doorstep, the act of keeping your entrance clean becomes a small rebellion against disorder and a bold declaration of faith. It reminds us daily that our homes are not battlegrounds, but havens, and every detail matters. As Saint Teresa of Calcutta once said, "Peace begins with a smile," and often that smile begins at the threshold. Let your entrance speak of order, love, and spiritual readiness, for it is there that the unseen begins to take notice. So let your doorway be a beacon of that divine protection, a gateway where God's light may enter and no darkness may linger. You didn't find this video by accident. Padre Pio's message was meant for you. If you feel a stirring in your heart, comment "I am ready" below to affirm your desire to protect your soul and your home. Keep watching, because what comes next could be the most important spiritual guidance you receive this year. 5. Weekly energy cleansing. Let me tell you something simple yet deeply powerful, something many of us overlook in our busy lives. Padre Pio, a man of profound spiritual insight, strongly believed in the importance of protecting not just our souls, but also the energy that surrounds us daily. One practice he would certainly urge us to embrace is the cleansing of our environment, not just occasionally, but consistently, at least once a week. Have you ever noticed how heavy a space can feel after a stressful week, or even just a long day? That's not just your imagination. Our homes and spaces absorb the energy we carry. This is why weekly spiritual cleansing can be so transformative. Here's what you can do. Choose a morning, preferably one when the sun is shining bright. Open all your windows and allow the fresh air and sunlight to flood your home. As you do this, don't rush. Pause, breathe deeply, and shift your mind toward thoughts of gratitude, hope, and renewal. Say a prayer asking for God's protection over your home and everyone in it. Ask the Holy Spirit to drive out any negativity that may have settled in unseen corners. These small, sacred acts aren't just symbolic, they change the atmosphere. Padre Pio once said, "Prayer is the best weapon we possess." Why not use it to bless not just your heart, but also your home? When we intentionally invite in light, both physically and spiritually, we participate in the healing and cleansing work of God. Have you ever taken a moment to pray over the very walls that shelter you? What do you think would shift in your life if you made this a weekly habit? Don't underestimate the power of consistency. Spiritual protection isn't just a one-time act, it's a way of life. By doing this regularly, you're not just protecting your space, you're creating a sanctuary, a spiritual refuge where peace can grow and darkness cannot linger. So, the message today is simple yet vital. Cleanse your space, not just your soul. Make room for God's light every single week. Let your home reflect that promise, inside and out. 6. Encourage family harmony. One of the most powerful ways you can protect yourself spiritually, something that Padre Pio himself often emphasized, is by nurturing harmony within your own family. Think about that for a moment. The family is your first church, your closest community, and the space where your soul is constantly shaped. So, what energy are you bringing into that sacred space each day? Are your words building peace, or are they planting seeds of conflict? When we allow arguments, sharp words, or bitterness to linger in our homes, we're actually creating cracks in our spiritual armor, openings through which darkness can creep in quietly and subtly. But when we strive for unity, when we choose love over ego and understanding over being right, we invite grace into our homes. This isn't just good advice from Padre Pio, it's a spiritual weapon. It's one of those powerful prayers in action, where instead of only speaking words to God, you're living out His teachings. Imagine what happens when your home becomes a sanctuary of peace, where children feel safe, partners feel valued, and every visitor can sense a divine calm in the air. Doesn't that sound like a kind of spiritual shield? So, how can we respond when tensions rise, as they inevitably do? What if, instead of reacting with anger, we paused and prayed for patience? What if we saw a disagreement not as a threat, but as an opportunity to grow in compassion and maturity? Padre Pio once said that the devil often attacks the family first, because he knows that a divided home weakens the individual spirit. But a united, peaceful home? That's impenetrable. And when you start seeing signs from God, moments of unexpected peace after prayer, doors opening where you least expect, or simply feeling a warm presence in your home, that's when you'll realize the power behind this practice. Isn't that beautiful? But to feel that divine protection, we must first create space for it. That begins with you right now, choosing peace over pride, listening with love and asking, how can I be the one who brings harmony to this home today? Because when you do, you're not just making your family stronger, you're standing guard over your soul. 7. Use houseplants. One often overlooked but deeply effective way to enhance spiritual protection in your home is by embracing the quiet, nurturing presence of houseplants. These living beings do far more than simply beautify a room. They contribute to a sense of peace, grounding, and positive energy that aligns with a spiritually aware lifestyle. In our fast-paced world, filled with digital noise and emotional tension, bringing nature indoors offers a way to reconnect with God's creation in a gentle and constant manner. Plants have a remarkable ability to purify the air, removing toxins and filling our spaces with cleaner oxygen. But their power doesn't stop there. When chosen wisely and cared for with love, they create an environment that supports your inner calm, making it easier to pray, meditate, and maintain emotional balance. This is especially meaningful in a time when so many people feel spiritually drained or disconnected, often without realizing that their surroundings play a crucial role. Be intentional with the plants you select. Look for soft-leaved, vibrant species that radiate serenity, such as peace lilies, pothos, or snake plants. These are low-maintenance choices that adapt well indoors and carry a natural rhythm of growth and renewal that reflects God's sustaining presence. It's important to avoid sharp or thorny plants like cacti, not because they are bad, but because in spiritual traditions, especially those tied to Padre Pio's wisdom, such shapes are thought to disrupt the flow of peace within sacred spaces. Tending to plants also invites us to slow down, be present, and take daily action with care, just as we must do with our spiritual lives. And indeed, when we surround ourselves with symbols of life, like plants, we're constantly reminded of God's protection and provision. So next time you water a plant, remember that this small act is also a prayer, an offering of peace to your home and heart. Let your space be filled not only with beauty, but with the sacred whisper of life growing quietly in every corner, drawing you closer to God's presence in the everyday. 8. Practice daily gratitude. Let's talk about something that may seem simple but holds immense spiritual power: daily gratitude. Padre Pio, a humble and deeply devoted soul, often reminded the faithful to stay close to God, not only in times of need, but also in moments of joy. Practicing gratitude every day is one way we can do just that. When you wake up in the morning or before you lay your head down at night, take a moment to thank God, not just for the big miracles, but for the everyday blessings we often overlook. Your home, your health, your loved ones, even the challenges that help you grow. These are all gifts. Gratitude isn't just a polite gesture. It's a spiritual practice that opens your heart and keeps the light of God flowing freely in your life. When you start recognizing the good around you, you begin to feel peace within, and that peace becomes a shield that guards your spirit from negativity. Isn't it amazing how a simple thank you can shift the atmosphere of your entire home? When you express appreciation regularly, you're inviting more of God's grace into your daily life, and it shows. Things begin to feel lighter, relationships improve, even the tough days become more bearable. So ask yourself, what am I thankful for today? And more importantly, how often do I stop to say it? If you start making gratitude part of your daily routine, you'll begin to notice how it uplifts not just your mood, but your soul. Psalm 20 verse 1 says, "May the Lord answer you when you are in distress. May the name of the God of Jacob protect you." Gratitude strengthens that connection, making us more open to God's protection and guidance. The lesson here is simple but profound. Gratitude is not just a reaction to blessings. It is a way of attracting them. By choosing to give thanks every day, you are actively inviting more peace, more love, and more spiritual protection into your life. Keep that practice close, and you'll find that even in storms, your soul remains anchored. As you reflect on Padre Pio's urgent message, I encourage you to take these teachings to heart and apply them in your daily life. A peaceful home leads to a peaceful soul, and even the smallest change can open the door to greater blessings. If this video spoke to you, let me know in the comments. What are you removing from your home today? Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you never miss a message that could transform your life. This is the journey of wisdom, and together we're walking toward light, faith, and freedom.